Well, a lot of that activity that wouldn't be affected is sort of black market activity. In a lot of these countries we're talking about, at the lower end, they're all black and gray markets where taxes don't matter because they just go around.
That's right. And the reason they're black and gray markets so much is because you can't be legal.
Yeah.
Like you don't have a legal title to your farm. So, if you want to sell it to someone, you just work out a deal on the side. That has all kinds of problems, as you know, because you can't enforce it in court and you can't borrow against it, all these problems. So, but black and gray markets are a result of the over-regulation that people face. They say, I can't like no one in Egypt actually went through those 42 procedures. That was the legal procedures, 42 procedures, years and years. No one ever did that.
Yeah.
Either bribe your way through it or just open your business illegally and hope and pray you don't get caught.
The spark to the Arab Spring was a regulatory shakedown where a cop was shaking down a local vendor who ended up, they took everything he had and he ended up setting himself on fire over it. Yeah. But it's like people, I think, in the United States, we argue about taxes so much. We sort of take for granted the predictability of the rule of law.
Yeah.
Regulatory stuff is less predictable in the United States, but probably relative to the rest of the world is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to open a business, the procedures. You got to go to the county courthouse and do this or do that. If you want to sell some property, there's, you hire a real estate expert and they handle the process for you. It's a pain in the neck and it is like a tax, but it's pretty known and knowable. You don't get now. It's getting worse. I think if you talk to business people in the United States, they will say that there is now more uncertainty. Like you never know when a new inspector is going to come and say exactly the opposite of what the last inspector said, which is the worst of all worlds, really, is not knowing what the rules are. And that's becoming more of a problem, I think, at least anecdotally you hear that, and we see it in the data a little bit too.
So I'm watching, and you may need a category for the arbitrary dictates under COVID, because there's a bar owner in New York that just got hauled off to jail because they keep changing the rules, and not just little rules like whether or not you get to be open kind of rules, and the arbitrariness, and there doesn't seem to be much constitutional constraint on this kind of behavior at the city level, the state level. Eventually, maybe the courts are going to catch up. They've been throwing some of these things out, but it already happens. And I don't know how you measure that because it throws all that other stuff out the window.
Yeah, and we've seen massive breakdowns in the rule of law. I mean, I've seen it. You've seen it. Restaurants and bars is a great example where, well, are you a restaurant or a bar? Well, we serve alcohol and we serve food. Well, for periods of time, they were shutting down bars but letting restaurants stay open. So all of a sudden, bars were becoming restaurants.
Yeah.
But really, they weren't. So what that meant was we were not following the rules now. All of a sudden, the city permit people were giving bars restaurant licenses.
Yeah. And
I was approved. I want to go to the bar. So that's great. Fine. Happy with that. But from a rule of law point of view, that means that some people got them and some people didn't get them. Mm-hmm. So we get unevenness in the application of those rules. And that's precisely what we, in the Economic Freedom Index, it's precisely the kind of breakdown in the rule of law that we would penalize you for. I'm hoping that if our data are doing what we think they're doing, we should see it in 2 years. You might want to mention that we're always 2 years behind.
Yeah. Well, when we get into the rankings, I want to point out that this data is essentially from 2018.
Yeah, that's right. Our latest data are 2 years old.